Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Mix Critique. I am Loic Maestracci, founder of Music Expo, and I'm really, really excited about this session that's hosted by Frank Socorro, and he has a guest today, Nico Hamui, which I'll let him self-introduce later. But I'm very excited about this session. I wanted to make two announcements before I pass the mic to these two finest gentlemen. The first one is next week, we will regroup at the same time, almost same place for something very interesting to discuss royalties. And we'll have a bunch of professionals from different organizations such as Sound Exchange, Hi-Fi, and potentially we create a group. So really excited. Stay tuned. That will be next week at 6 p.m. Here we have it. And after this session, in about an hour, we will all drop in the Emmy lounge on the Discord. You must have all received a link. So make sure you join us. And I hope Frank and Nico will be able to join us there. Great. So where we can continue the conversation and network. But without further ado, I want to pass it to Nico and Frank. You guys, how are you doing?
Hey, how's it going, Loic?
Great to have you back, Frank. And if you don't mind, I'll drop off and let you introduce your guest today.
Thanks, Loic.
Take care, guys.
It's always a pleasure.
Always.
Hey, everybody. Most of you know who I am. You've been to some of these before. My name is Frank Socorro, and today we're doing a mixed critique. I invited a very special guest. His name is Nico Hamui, and he's special to me because a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, Nico was one of my students. Since then, he's gone on to do some really, really cool stuff, and I'm super proud of him. So I hit him up. I said, hey, I'm doing this mixed critique. Would you mind joining me and kind of listening to these records and giving some feedback to the people? And he said, yeah, so here is. I want, Nico, can you just give us a little bit of your post-Frank education journey, just so that people know who you are?
Yeah, man. Yeah, always a pleasure hanging out with you, man. I learned so much from you at school and changed my life, man. Definitely changed my life. So big ups and super appreciate you for that. But after I got into music professionally, trying to chase the live sound thing. So before I even graduated SAE, I went to PSAV and I started working there at PSAV in many different top tier hotels, 4-star and 5-star hotels, doing their AV stuff. And I loved it. It was great, but it was a little bit corporate for my taste. So I kind of ended up getting into nightlife stuff as I turned 21, etc. And I worked at Live and Story for a little while. And then I just kind of packed my bags and moved out to LA. Just packed my car with as much stuff as I could fit in it and drove out to LA. And in LA, I would just hit the ground running. I literally had barely enough money for my first month's rent. Then I had to scrounge around and find gigs to do, keep paying rent. And I told myself if I do anything other than audio, I'll just move back to Miami to work at Starbucks or whatever. So I've been fortunate enough to always be hustling and finding a way to make ends meet. I did a little bit of voiceover work, recording voiceovers and stuff like that to kind of bridge the gap, still keep the money coming in and still technically be in audio, even though it's not my favorite thing to do. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do to pay the bills, and it still kept me leveling it up. And at some point I ended up somebody who just had to take a couple weeks to go on tour when they were doing Pensado's Place, and they needed some help on the show. So I got a chance, and I had a feeling, this is only going to be a few weeks. So, I just did the thing, just shut up and do your job kind of thing until I felt like, okay, I might not, be able to come back. So at that point, I told everybody in the room, I bothered everybody, yo, this is what I do. This is who I am. This is what I'm looking for. If you could help me out, if you know anybody, point me in the right direction. And that's kind of how I ended up working with Dave. I started out working with Cole Nystrom, super cool guy, amazing, owe him a lot too. He took me under his wing. That was Dave's assistant before me. So I worked with Cole for about a year and a half. And then there was a gig over at the Village. They needed some help over at the Village, and I worked at the Village Recorder, which is a big studio out in Santa Monica. So I worked there for about a year and a half, and then Dave. It was time for Dave to find a new guy, and luckily, Cole put in a good word for me, and that's how the cookie crumbles. I've been working with Dave for about 3 years now.
Amazing story. I love it because you started kind of in one aspect of audio, and then you just kind of moved it over to a different one. So I really dig that, and you stuck to it, and
Yep.
And here we are. So a lot of you guys submitted some tracks, and I want to play them, and I'm going to play them in the order they were received. So I always start this thing kind of like with a preface of like, if I don't get to your track, I will still give you the critique. I'll drop it in the Discord, just because there's a good amount, and I want to give everybody a good amount of time on each track. So we're just gonna start. All right. So first track is from Zoli Fears. Welcome back, Zoli. And the track is called Rather Be Alone. So I'm gonna play it. I'm not gonna play probably all the way through. I'm gonna play like a good amount of it, probably about half of it, and then we'll stop. I'll give you my critique. Nico will give you his, and then we'll move on. Zoli, if you're here, please hit us with a 1 in the chat. If you're here, I'll give it a second. If not, we'll move on. I want to really kind of focus on the people that are here so they can actually hear their song and hear our feedback. Yep. So there's a little bit of a delay. Zoli is here. 3 1s. That means Zoli's definitely here. So let's do it. I'm going to set it up, and we're going to play it from the top. Here we go. I'm going to refresh this. We're going to start this again. Just make sure it plays correctly.
It's not a real show if we don't have technical difficulties.
It's not a real internet show anyways.
Exactly.
Here we go.
Actually, turn it up a little bit more. Turn it up a little bit more. When I'm dead. Baby, you don't understand. You was never part of the plan. Baby, won't you take my hand? Rather be alone when I'm dead, yeah. Rather be alone when I'm dead, yeah. Baby, you don't understand. You was never part of the plan. Baby, won't you take my hand? Rather be alone when I'm dead, yeah. Rather be alone when I'm dead, yeah. I wish you knew how I felt about you lately. Got me going ape shit, oh yeah. One day I love you, the next day I hate you. Can't make a decision, that shit ain't no fair. Playing this love shit ain't for me, I'm hopeless. But my hope is that you ain't going nowhere. I can see in your eyes, hoping that I arise from the ashes of sadness. Yeah, that would be dope. Pushing you away, hoping you would stay. It ain't fair to you, that's how I cope. No, I can't explain, hoping you remain to the end. Yeah, that will make you a goat. Yeah, that will make you a goat. But all of your actions just make you a hoe.
Gotta maintain.
Cool. So that was Zoli Fears. That was the first track. So I have some notes here. Wrote them all down. First of all, it's a cool track. I dig it. I like the idea of like the vocals coming in and there being no drums and then kind of building up to that section. So a couple of notes that I made are the vocals feel a little bit dark, maybe a little bit like too much low mid, and I know there's like a cool like harmonizer thing going on under it, but just frequency wise, it's too far in. Um, and I also felt the track could have been like taller. Like there's a lot of stuff happening, but I don't. It feels like everything's like this, like super squished together. And I know that on the notes you put with limiter, so I'm thinking maybe there's some version somewhere without the limiter that might sound a little bit more like with depth. Um, and then also in the vocals, the volume shifts. Like it kind of like does this thing, which is a little bit distracting. So that's what I would change. So maybe like a little bit more compression on the vocal to kind of get it to sit in place or do automation, and then maybe cutting some of that low mid out and giving it a little bit of shimmer, and then creating some depth with like those cool little bells. Those are cool. I feel like there's the depth kind of thing is really the my biggest critique on the mix. What do you think, Nico?
I think I've got quite a few notes as well. I think the snare being off to the right is a little bit distracting, especially on an R&B song where there's not a lot of stuff going on. You definitely want your snare up the middle. The kick and the snare are two things you definitely want up the middle on most tracks. I know, you're trying to be different and stuff, which is totally cool, but pick other stuff like Frank was saying with the bells to kind of get some, and you could always put your snare up the middle and maybe do a cool effect like a reverb that goes off to the side as opposed to the whole thing, because just having the whole thing off to the side is kind of 50s, where you'd have like the drums and the vocals over here and then the guitars on the other side. That's like some super 50s when we first learned about stereo kind of stuff. And then another thing was the vocal was just a little bit too dry. Now, if you're going for a dry vocal kind of vibe, that's cool, but at least give me some throws on the end of the phrases. It just felt too dry, and what a reverb does on a vocal is it really glues the track together with the vocal, so that's something that I was missing. It's like you got your vocal here and then you got your track back here or whatever on the sides, and you just kind of like it's just too separated. I need something to tie it together. So adding some reverb either on the whole thing or just doing throws, writing it at the end of the phrases and stuff like that is something that'll really glue it all together. As far as the beat sounded good, except for the snare being off to the right. And it was really just the snare, put the snare up the middle, maybe do some effects off to the right, and then reverb on those vocals.
Cool. And by throws, guys, if you're listening and you don't know what a throw is, it's where you automate, the reverb or delay just happening in that section. That's typically called like a throw. Also, really important to notice that snare being off to one side, you can tell like really affected Nico, and it threw him off as a listener. So it kind of like made him focus on that thing, and then so sometimes like doing cool stuff like that can be also like backfire and just make somebody focus on this one, like why is that there, and then people stop listening to the song. So you always want to put your best foot forward, and just you can do cool stuff, just it can't be distracting.
Yeah, if anything, like do it like in the bridge where it's a part where you could be creative, or like, you know what I mean? But like when I first hear the song and the snare's off to the right, I'm like, bro, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. This sounds weird. You know what I'm saying? So, and then I'll hit next, like Frank said. But if you have it like, because I know you had two snare, like you had a snare and a snap in different sections, like maybe like, for a couple of them, you can move them around or something. But at the end of the day, the main vibe has to be up the middle, especially with kick, snare, and vocals. That's like the meat and bones of your track right there. And that has to be usually up the middle.
Yeah,
you can have cool stuff on the sides. Right.
Yeah. You also have to be like cognizant of your genre and like where things go in that typical, just to kind of, because you got to get people in first and then you can do cool stuff. So, all right, cool. Thank you. Nico, that was amazing. All right, let's move on to the next one. This one is from Marco de Sangron. It's called Maria Natalia. Play it from the beginning. Here we go.
Hay que confiar en el fuego que hipnotiza y quiere más que nuestros cuerpos calentar. Ya no te acuerdas que hace años yo te dije me haces daño, pero aguanté, me hice fuerte y me abracé. Si ahora entiendo todo, yo no sirvo a tu trono. Juro que hoy le gano a tu intento de mandato, porque vengo acompañada de una banda organizada. Dime si no comprendes nada, te lo digo con mis llamadas. Quiero cenizas, convertido el patriarcado. Quiero que el humo enamore este cuadro y que en nuestros brazos solo quede la cosecha de lo que hemos sembrado. Hay que confiar en el fuego que hipnotiza y quiere más que nuestros cuerpos calentar. Hay que confiar en el fuego que no cree en la autoridad que estallando ilumina más.
Por ella.
All right, that was Maria Natalia. Do you want to go first, Nico, or do you want me to go first? Or?
Yeah, actually, I'll go first. Okay, so similar to the last track where there was some stuff that threw me off left and right, this one had some things like that. So the vocals that are pan hard left and right, I don't know if they're doubles or backgrounds, whatever, it doesn't matter what you want to call them. The one on the left has a lot more low mids, so it makes it appear to be louder than the one on the right. So your mix sounds lopsided. So I would solo both of those vocals together and try and dial them in a little bit better so your mix isn't sitting like left or right. So either turn one vocal down or just cut some low mids out of one, the one that's kind of poking out. And then the second thing, I'll keep it to three things. So the second thing was some of those little ad libs and the whispers are also pan hard left and right. Maybe, you got your backgrounds here and your main vocal here, and maybe put the whispers like right there, like somewhere in between, not quite hard left and right, maybe 50%. So you have like your lead, your ad libs, and then your backgrounds and doubles. And then the third thing is the lead verse. I kind of lose it a little bit. It's kind of pushed back. So either turn up just a hair of the volume on that, but what I would really do is put some sort of transient designer on there to like kind of like get the transients up, like it's a little trick we do with vocals sometimes, either like the SPL transient designer or Spiff from Oak Sound, just anything to kind of like give some excitement, but also like make it jump out at you a little bit more. I know it's a chill track, but you also want some like dynamics.
I agree with everything you said, but especially with the lead vocal. I felt like it was a little bit kind of tucked in. The other things I want to talk about is I felt like the low end on it, like the bass and the kick, could just kind of be a little bit beefier. And that snare being so dry, it felt like kind of clunky sometimes. So I wonder if there was something that you could have brought up within the track to kind of make it groove a little bit better, or maybe just adding a little bit of a reverb to the end of that snare to kind of like extend it and tie it to the rest of the beat, because it almost feels like it's like this, like, whereas everything is kind of floating and the drums just don't feel like they're super grooving. It could just be like a hi-hat, maybe bringing it up or something in there just needs to kind of, work together. um I like the backgrounds, like the harmonies and all that stuff. But I agree with Nico, like they need to feel like one thing, like they need to feel balanced. And it's funny because like sometimes somebody will have something in a track that they don't know what's bothering them because they're not a professional audio person, but just like Nico caught that thing, it could bother somebody and they'll be like, I don't know what it is about the song, I just they can't articulate it, but there is something. So you want to make sure that you're kind of keeping your bases, and if there's somebody who's try to get a compare on it and hear it and just get advice. I mean, overall, I think the song's really cool. I actually really like the song. I thought it was super cool. I like the vibe of it. It was just those things I felt like, especially that drum thing. I'm a big drum groove guy, and that kind of threw me off a little bit. So, but other
I
than that,
I
great job
definitely
so far,
agree.
guys. Great job so far. Don't take these things as negative. We want you to be better or be best. So, all right, next one is called Reality Kingdom. Is the person who owns Reality Kingdom here? Reality Kingdom, are you here? Give me some ones. Give me some ones. I know there's a little bit of a delay, so I'll give everybody a second. No? No?
Shoot that Uno.
Okay, well, I'll move on. Next one is Grace Space Alien. You're welcome. The writer producer of the previous track said amazing feedback. You're very welcome. Oh, our boy Fat Beezy's in here.
What up, BZ? For those of y'all that don't know, BZ was also SAE alumni, working with Frank. Oh, did I lose my light? There we go. Also, young Padawan of Frank's.
I love you, all you guys. You guys all are doing it. Super cool. All right, so
Awesome.
Garbage Sphinx put up a 1. Is yours the Reality Kingdom? I'm assuming yes. So I'm going to play Reality Kingdom. Boom. Sorry, just refreshing here. These are all browsing, streaming from the browser. Sorry.
Welcome to Reality Kingdom. We have the best ride for you. You can run and you can hide. Here your oldest fears will rise. Welcome to Reality Kingdom, where your music still plays on. Everybody has a message, and your bullshit floats alone. Welcome to Reality Kingdom. We prepare your favorite treats, full of memories and nostalgia, full of everlasting scenes. Welcome to Reality Kingdom. One way in and many out. Take one glance at your true mirror and let love just be your guide. Love, 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 love. I used to blame so many others, used to fake my common sin, used to hide that same old picture, kept me stuck right in between. Everybody has a past, everybody has a ghost, and it's so rewarding now to have found what I had lost. No more hiding in the...
Cool. All right, so Garbage Sphinx, I know that's not yours. My apologies. I know you're Gray Space. So the person who wrote this track is actually not here today. But I want to talk about that. If you're gonna do a track like this where it's just guitar and vocals, the guitar recording needs to be better. It needs to be a much bigger,
Way better.
yeah. The guitar on that sounded really kind of thin and far away, and it didn't take up enough space for it to be the only instrument in the track besides the vocals. That's the main thing, and that's the thing that bothered me the most, and I couldn't really focus on anything else. The vocals, I guess, kind of in a What's that? Take a Walk on the Wild Side. What's that record? What's that guy's name? Somebody help me out. Do 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 do. Loic, are you there? You know who I'm talking about. Lou Reed. Boom. Kind of a Lou Reed kind of vibe on the vocals, which I think is cool. It's got like a little slap back, and he was doing it kind of like a weird, background-ish delay. But that guitar needs to be like amazing, and it wasn't. And it just, if you're gonna do that, it's not even a mix thing. That's purely a recording thing. Thank you, please.
The whole track was like this big. Where there we go. It was about this big. If this is my stereo field, let me get in the camera. If this is my stereo field, the whole track was like this big. Your guitars, your vocals, and then like your background vocal was like there. So it's like the whole track felt so small. Definitely agree with, especially low end. If you have no other option, at least add some low end in the guitar if that's your only thing. Imagine the instruments that are there need to take up the whole frequency spectrum. So if you only have one instrument, let that thing be big as far as the frequency spectrum goes, right? And then the vocal thing was cool, but it's a little weird having the double going the whole time. I would maybe put that up the middle, turn it down a little bit, and put some chorusing or some widening on it. So then you got your lead here, and you got both sides filled in as opposed to just one side. And it's kind of same thing. It's kind of a theme here today is things a little bit lopsided, leaning to one side or another. And that drives people nuts, and they don't even know why. So that's another thing that Frank was talking about. It's like you don't know how to say it, but something about that track isn't finished or is bothering you. And then stuff like that, just having lopsided stuff in your mix is a killer.
And honestly, if you want to do that, you can, but there has to be an equally weighted thing on the other side to make it work, right? Like you can't,
Exactly.
like if you listen to like some, like Nico was talking about some early like 50s and 60s when they first discovered stereo, and they were like, we're panning everything left and right. There is a balance though. Like there might have been like all the horns were on this side, but then all the guitars were over here. So then when they played, it felt together. It felt like maybe a band on stage. A great example of this is like orchestral recordings. All that stuff's like really panned out, but it always feels balanced, and like so you have to think about that. If you want a really cool example of stuff being panned hard left and right, is Dusty Springfield's "Son of a Preacher Man," the actual stereo version. Like stuff's panned super hard left and right, but it works. Like it's balanced and it feels like one thing.
That's where volume is so essential. Like volume is everything. Like forget about compression and EQ. Like volume. If you have volume, levels, balance, that's where the word balance comes from. That's like the key to any mix.
Facts. All right. Next one, Mr. Garbage Sphinx is here. It's called Gray Space Alien.
sacred delusion you pay to believe, like my face so smooth, perfect and clean, like a flawless plastique mannequin.
The internet, that's an alien life form. The internet, alien life. The internet, that's an alien life form. The internet, that's alien life.
So plug me in, make it last. You can touch me, I'm cold like glass. All my little gestures, my glitter, my gleam, a reflected image, near a copy.
The internet.
like in Berlin just now. Um, super cool, man.
For
Super
real.
cool. Do you want to go first, Nico, on this one, or do you want me to go?
Yeah, I'm a little like I don't know what to say because it's a very artistic track, so there's no real right and wrong, but there are definitely some things that I would do differently. Let's say, super cool track, really great job by the way. The first thing that really bothered me was the hi hat. When the hi hat came in and it's hard left, it's stepping on you also have some like paper rip tear kind of little like high end stuff going on the sides and they kind of bounce left and right, but when the hi-hat comes in it kind of steps on that, so I just have this loud like high end thing on my left ear, so I would pan the hi-hat just a little bit more up the middle, not up the middle, but just in between the middle and the left, so 50% or whatever. Vocals need to be way louder. Your kick, I could barely hear your kick. For a dance track, there was tons of snares. Snares great. Kick, I could barely hear it. It was like down the street. So kick needs to be tighter and also like smaller and punchier and tickier. That's a taste thing as far as EDM goes. You could have any kick, but most EDM, especially Boots and Cats kind of EDM, you want that kick to be real small, real tight, and just kind of thing. And also maybe a little bit of reverb, a little bit of effects. The whole track, the whole instrumental felt a tiny bit dry, but the vocals sounded really cool. They were just way too far back, way too low. So that's my 2 cents.
I agree, especially on the kick part. So whether you're gonna go big bassy or like ticky, like Nico said, like it definitely needs to come up because that's the groove. Um, I felt overall like the mix could have been a little bit more aggressive. I felt like it would have made sense if everything just sounded kind of like a little bit like just more in your face, and it sounded a little bit safe. Um, that's the. I just felt like it could have used like a little harmonic distortion on certain things, like just a little bit more aggressiveness, on certain sounds, just to kind of like, because I feel like the energy of that song was like in your face, but the track kind of like
It's
sounded a
like
little
it's
bit
like a
timid.
rip your head off track. So make the sounds rip your head off.
Yeah, like facts. Like I should have been wearing like jack boots and like kicking people. Like that's how it feels, but the mix didn't sound like that. So like you got it across with the musicality of it, but the actual sound of it didn't give me that same feeling. So maybe like some parallel stuff like aggressive compression or you know, um, just something to where you can kind of add a little bit of that just aggressiveness would be great. But overall, pretty cool. Um, you got like he's like, yee. Where are you in the U? Where are you, Garbage Sphinx? Are you in the UK? Are you? Where are you? As a matter of fact, everybody right now, type in where you are in the world while I go over to the next track.
Real quick, how do I see everyone's comments? Is it on
It's on the
YouTube?
right. You should see a comments, and then there's like a private chat, and
Oh,
then
I
there's
got it.
comments.
Got it. Thank you.
So if you go to comments, oh, you're in San Francisco. Okay, cool. LA, the dirty South. What up, Adonis? Adonis is another SA alumni. Sebastian, what up? Another SA alumni. How are you, Sebastian? Thank you guys for visiting me and supporting me in all my internet endeavors. I really appreciate you guys. Where else is everybody? Oakland, Chicago, West Palm Beach, Miami, San Fran, ATL, Sacramento. Man, you guys are awesome. Hold on, let me just send this. Okay, cool. Well, the next one I have is called Sick Primates. Drown with You. Are the sick primates in the building? Sherry Lynn, LA, I see you. You guys are welcome. I love doing these things. I love sharing knowledge.
Yeah, let me just take a second to say a big thanks to Frank. Man, he does so many cool things that are like extracurriculars, so to speak. Like he's got so many things to do already, and he still comes out and like gives you all the knowledge and like helps you get to that next level, helps you, you know, like do cool things like this, which is not something that's like cut and paste, you know, sort of thing where it's like, yo, we're really trying to help y'all get to that next level. So a big thank you to Frank and you know, everybody. We definitely, you know, got to show Frank our appreciation for, you know, this takes a lot of time. So spending all this time doing things like this is essential.
Thanks, Nico. That's really nice of you. And honestly, I just need to do something with this information because if I die and then I don't give it away, then what's the point? So,
It's all
all right.
about the
So,
legacy.
our sick primate. Uh, so I'm gonna move on. I do have notes, so if you guys come into the Discord later, I will drop it in. The next one then is gonna be Sebastian. Sebastian Berti, and it's one's called Dead and Gone. This is a Black Keys cover. Here we go. Here we go.
So long. Why'd you wait in so long? After every single word said, I'm feeling dead and gone. Alone. Don't you drag me along. If you do, you know I'll follow you. Dead and gone. I'll go anywhere you go. I'll go anywhere you go. I'll go anywhere you go. I'll go anywhere you
Super cool. Very, very nice job. I have a few notes here, Sebastian. Really cool vibe. First of all, I like the fact that I don't know the original. I'm not super familiar with it. Please, nobody shoot me because I don't know it. Apparently, it's a Black Keys track. So first off, I really appreciate that you did it, and I don't know if this was intentional, but it kind of did it in the style of the Nancy Sinatra, the "I Shot You Down" vibes. So I really like that. I thought that was super cool. Um, so my critiques are one, the lower vocal effect, like like the lower harmony. I don't know if it's you singing or it's just like a pitch down version. That was also kind of off to the left a little bit, or I think it was my left. That was a little bit distracting from the lead. So sometimes I kind of like paid attention to that one and wasn't really listening to what the vocal was saying. I really like the sound of the guitar. However, I felt that could have in the beginning taken up more space frequency wise. If you go back and you reference the Nancy Sinatra record, you hear that when it's playing, there's actually a good amount of low end in that. especially the part where it's like boom in the beginning of that one, and it's almost like if they did it on a baritone guitar. So it kind of just has a lot of density, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Um, and then when the bass comes in, it's cool, but I just feel like it wasn't like I feel like I could have growled a little bit more overall. And then when the drums come in, it was a little bit disappointing. Like it wasn't like I listening to it and how the drums are programmed and where they come in. I felt like they should have just came in on like some Dr. Dre like they should have just been like super in your face and driven the track all the way out to the end, where I just felt like they kind of came in and they were like just kind of there. um that's it for me. Those are my other like it's cool, super cool. I just a balance, like rebalancing, and I think you're there, Nico.
Yeah, I definitely agree 1,000% with what you said about the low end on the guitar. Guys, don't be afraid to automate an EQ. So when it's just the guitar, you got a ton of low end, but when the rest of the instruments come in, you cut all that low end off of the guitar. That's huge. Like don't just put an EQ on a guitar and leave it there the whole song. You know, like that's what's gonna set you apart from the pack, is like automating stuff like that. Um, Another thing that I heard, I definitely agree with basically everything Frank said. When the drums and the guitar came in, that loud, killer guitar, it was really cool, but it was like, whoa, here we go, and then we didn't really go anywhere. So try and keep that energy going and keep that energy driving up. Another thing, I'm not sure how faithful to the original. I as well don't know the original. But it felt like, and I liked some of the delays on the vocals, but it felt like it still needed a little bit of reverb or reverb throws to tie the vocal, to kind of like keep that dreamy like wave rolling, so to speak. Because like the vocals are a little bit dry. Again, there was some delays on it, which is cool, but I think something to really tie it all together would be like, some reverb, and don't be afraid to turn that stuff up. You'd be surprised. Like the delays were cool, but they were a little bit low. So like, turn all that stuff up.
I think that's mixing. Like people, like they get nervous and they're like, oh, I'm gonna do this delay and this is really cool, but oh, I need to turn it down because it's like, you're nervous about it. Like, man, if you're gonna do something, just go for it. Like, you don't have to put your shoes on. You put them on all the way and you walk out of the house. Like, go for it. Like, and then also like what you were talking about, the automation, I think for the most part, like the amount of stuff that we do on a mix is really usually what takes your mix like over the top, because we can all EQ, we can all compress, we can all do a volume, but those little things like I leave all the bass here, then when the chorus comes in I cut it out because there's all this other stuff coming in, and then I can't have that much bass, so I'm going to automate it so everything is there and everything is loud. Like those little moves that we do are literally what help take our mixes over the top. So don't be afraid to automate, don't be lazy with your automation. Like, take pride in that stuff. As far as like, I know a lot of you guys are musicians and producers and you're making your own music, but if you're trying to be an engineer, like that's really the part where you can really get like super creative with your mix and do really cool stuff and move stuff around and do cool throws. Ellie's asked, can you mention some good examples of throws on vocals? I'm trying to one of my favorites, Flashing Lights, Kanye West. The delay is pitched. Flashing lights, 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 lights. It's one of my favorite ones. That's an example of like a throw. Like, it doesn't happen all the time, but when that part comes in, it repeats over and over. And that one's really cool for me just because it pitches, it works. And it works in the other direction too if you pitch it down. Do you have any, Nico?
I'm gonna go real basic with Billboard stuff, but Selena, 34, 35, and positions, and almost basically anything Selena does. Every time she finishes a phrase, you hear that delay or you hear that reverb, or sometimes it's both. It's a delay with a reverb on it, or it's a reverb with a delay after it. So it's always almost like a continuation of it. Now that's the cut and dry version, but that's like the super evident way of explaining how you glue the vocal to the track with that reverb.
Absolutely. It also creates continuity too. Sometimes there's like a space, and you can't just leave it open. Sometimes you got to put something in there to like create anticipation and all that stuff. So, those are those are some great examples. I always notice that who's doing that, you know who mixes that?
Serban mixes all her stuff.
Serban, he does a great job. That stuff sounds
he's
fantastic,
killer,
fantastic. All right, our next track is actually called Las Cosas Claras, and this one is actually I got to play it out of Pro Tools because I had to download that one. So is who's Las Cosas Claras? I know who that is. That's Pechuga. Pechuga, where you at? That's a lovely little nickname for him. Are you here? Give me a number 1 if you're here. Andres. And there's a little bit of delay on the chat. Andres, are you here? If not, I'll leave your comments in the Discord. No, going once, going twice. Sold American. I'm going to move on to Claptrap from... Oh, the group is Claptrap, or the artist is Claptrap, and the song is Toranawa Remix. Oh, there he is. Andres is here. Let's play Andres' track, and then we'll move on.
Es hora de poner las cosas claras. Ahora es el momento perfecto para que mis nietos puedan escuchar lo que podrían leer en mi diario, pero no lo harán, porque prefiero rapearlo. Lo más probable es que te sientas vencido, y si piensas que la vida es una cagada, de seguro no estás equivocado. Pero no te confundas, porque te lo digo bien convencido. Es una de esas que te hacen saber que no has acabado. Es cierto que este es un mundo lleno de obscuridad, pero el mejor consejo que hoy te voy a dar es que tienes que aceptarlo, para que puedas ver el plano completo con claridad. Esta película es un drama que te asedia, pero hace días ando pensando que también es una gran comedia. Y si no puedes balancearlo, bueno, eso sería una tragedia. Ya un par de cosas he vivido en tan pocos años. La obsesión me ha mantenido en un limbo lleno de frustración, y esa es la razón del por qué he sufrido tanto. Tantas cosas que sé y he presenciado. Tontos incrédulos con ínfulas de genialidad me hacen querer ir al baño. El idealismo te llena de ingenuidad, y por eso hacer del mundo algo mejor las... El egoísmo y el cinismo no se combinan con el altruismo, y menos cuando la masa padece de autismo y Alzheimer. Solía pensar que tenía que salvar a la humanidad de manera agresiva y activa, y eso me hizo caer al abismo año tras año. La sabiduría de la experiencia te enseña que la culpa no la tiene el chihuahua que te muerde. La de la culpa es la dueña. Primero debo admitirlo, que no puedo hacer coros en mis canciones porque la verdad no sé cómo, pero puedo intentarlo. Y si no les gustó, se jodió, se jodió, se jodió, se jodió, parcero.
That was amazing. That was awesome. Oh man, Andres, I didn't know you had that in you.
That was dope, for real.
I really like that mix. That was awesome. I love the drums. I love the track. I don't have any. The only thing I would say is I wish that the track did a little bit more musically, maybe some drops or something. But I really enjoyed that, and I thought it sounded good. It was nice and aggressive and punchy, and I don't know, Nico.
I have two notes. One is a songwriting note and a creative taste thing, which I'll leave that for after. But my main thing is, it was just a tiny bit narrow. The track sounded big. The mix was dope. Great job, by the way. And then some of the background vocals and ad libs and stuff were gave me some width. But that main synth, da 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 da, that was like up the middle the whole time. So maybe, you know, you could leave that up the middle, but maybe add an aux or like, you know, add a duplicate or whatever you want to call it and widen that so your track feels bigger, and you got the kick and snare up the middle, vocal up the middle, but you want some of those synths to fill out the sides as well, because the track was just a little bit narrow. But other than that, the mix was killer. Yo, you killed that mix. Vocals sounded fire, beat sounded fire, everything was great. As far as now onto the songwriting thing, I'm not a pro songwriter, I'm a mixer, but it felt kind of like an interlude track. Like it didn't feel like there was, and I know you even said in the song, you know, I don't know how to do hooks or whatever. I don't know how to do choruses, whatever. Go F yourself kind of vibe. But it just felt like lacking a little bit of structure. So I feel like like that's kind of what Frank was saying, is it didn't really go anywhere as far as the you know, the energy was just kind of like that the whole time, and it's just like you yelling at me about something the whole time, which is cool. It's super vibe, but you know, try and get some more dynamic with the performance. I think that'll help you out a lot. Like, you know, like different parts, different vocal parts, or you know, do some backgrounds here, or like, you know, filter out the vocal for a couple bars or something, you know, something creative. So it's not just like the whole time.
I agree.
You know, and that's really my only thing was just like, there was no hook and no verse, no change in the vocal excitement. And this is something Dave talks about all the time. It's like back in the day, you'd have the band and the vocalist, and in the hook, the band will go up and the vocalist will go up with it. But now you got program music where the drums, all the instruments are the same. So you gotta have that vocal. I gotta figure out how to do this on the camera the right way. You gotta figure out how, if your instrumental staying the same the whole time, you gotta figure out how, like, you know, you got your verse and then your hook, and then your second verse comes back down, but not all the way down as the first verse, and then your second hook should be higher than your first hook, kind of thing. So you got to make that vocal dance on top of those, you know, that instrumental.
Yeah, for sure. And that goes back again to like automation stuff. Like if you when you guys see like mixer sessions, it's not like a straight line. Like it's like a living thing, you know, and it has to be to give you that excitement that you sometimes don't even notice is happening, but you're like, oh, this feels better here, and then, or you're excited, or I'm building up because I know the chorus is coming. Like that's done, you know, that's done to you. That's not just kind of there. So, all right, I think we have time for one more, and this is Toranawa remix. Claptrap, are you here? Claptrap.
Claptrap, what up?
Claptrap, where you at? Somebody said something like a Dominican Kendrick Lamar.
It definitely did. No, it was a super vibe.
Is Colombian, or I don't remember, but Andres came to our mix masterclass a few weeks ago, and I'm hoping that that was because of your masterclass experience, that now your mix is that much better. If not, then you're amazing. You're a savant.
Yeah, that one was probably one of the best mixes we had so far, and I forget which other one. The Black Keys cover was also a great mix. So good job, guys.
Good job. Claptrap, are you here? Claptrap. Let's give it a second. Going once. Give me
clap it up.
If not, then last would be Cyborg Recordings Vibe Eon, spelled like Eon Flux. Vibe Eon from Cyborg Recordings. Are you here? I'd like to play your song. Are you here? I don't know where these people at.
Eon. I never know how to say Aeon or Eon.
I just go because of that show Eon Flux on
MTV
from a long time ago. So Eon. No? Okay, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play the Torah Na, just because that one was actually the one that was submitted, and the Eon was like a last minute. So I'll play this one. This will be our last track. We'll give our notes, and then we'll jump over to the Discord, and yeah, here we go. so you guys get the picture. I really like that one. I thought it was pretty cool. A couple of notes, that one hi hat was pretty loud and it was a little bit distracting for me. Um, and then there was like a mandolin kind of sound in the background, but it was too buried. And I felt like it should have come up a little bit more. Cool vibe though. It was like a Moby kind of, you know, chill vibe. But
Yeah, I really like that song. I lost you there for a second, but yeah, I really like that song. I thought it was super cool. Like the Kirtan call and response thing is a super cool like vibe. Um, but I agree with Frank. Some of the stuff that I felt like should be more in the forefront were a little bit buried, like the mandolin thing and the vocals too. The vocal could have been a little bit more upfront. Um, and then also think about chorusing and widening that mandolin, something to fill in the space so it feels like the whole track is kind of hugging you. um, and uh, just leveling things out as far as reverb compression, all that stuff. That's fine. The mix sounded good. Just leveling a few things out, knowing what needs to be in the forefront, what needs to be in the background. Also, one thing that's again not in my lane, but it is the intro is just way too long. Uh, Again, if you're at a festival, that might work. For live shows, it definitely might work, but in today's day and age, streaming stuff like that, again, maybe in a yoga class, again, that might work. But most people, they need to get to the meat and bones a little bit faster. So try and find a way to cut some of that intro and cut some of the whatever comes after the intro before the vocals, kind of the build up. Oh, another thing, you had the kids playing kind of background thing. That was way too mono. I love the idea, but put a widener on that so it feels like you're actually there and you could hear kids over here and kids over there and like kind of this big, space of kids playing, not just like a little bit of kids playing far off in the background kind of thing. So that's another big point that'll really make your tracks pop out.
I think the takeaway from today was put the stuff that goes in the middle, and then widen the stuff that can be on the sides.
Yeah.
Use your entire stereo field, but keep the important stuff in the middle and up front and in your face, and then make room in your tracks by pushing stuff out, and using all that left to right. Use the whole space, and then put the big stuff there in the middle. So and now you created this contrast, and you've created depth and width and all this stuff. So
100%. What I like to say, which I kind of found out by accident, is like you want to make people feel like they're at an IMAX theater. So you want it to be this whole immersive situation. You don't want it to be like just right here or just out on the sides. You want it to be like this huge windshield bubble thing that like you don't know where to look. There's so much to look at. There's so many different elements pan in different places that not only you have side to side depth, but you also have front to rear depth to work with. And reverb and stuff like that helps you with the front to rear stuff. But think of it like an IMAX movie. If you're not like feeling like you're engulfed, you're not done. And again, that's a stylistic thing, but that's something that I keep in mind a lot. Is like I want people to be floored, like, oh my God, sitting in my chair, like, holy shit, where am I?
exactly. Well, on that note, ladies and gents, that's the end of today. Loic, are you somebody gonna come in here and sign us off? I'm pretty sure we're all meeting on the Discord after. There's Larry is. Look at that.
We
handsome
are.
man.
So, of course, we're going to ask people to drop a 2 to thank Nico and Frank for joining us and giving some tips. We're going to drop in the Discord. You all have the link. Please come. Camera on if you want, audio on if you want. It's an opportunity to network, meet some of the people who join us for the first time and see regulars. If you enjoyed this session today, please let your friends, colleagues, partners, music associates know because Frank will be back, I think, March 11. And so they can also submit their track and benefit from the same type of feedback. So yeah, make sure
with another special guest.
With another special guest. So stay tuned. We will announce soon. But yeah, please let your friends know, so they can also enjoy some free feedback. And also, I want to do a last shout out for next week, where we're going to talk about royalties. So make sure to keep an eye on the invite to register or for the link to the live stream. But we want to make sure we get you also to join. It's going to be a different topic. But yeah, every Thursday, 6 p.m., same place. We try to bring a lot of hot topics, help you make basically your music sound better, or help you with career advice and things like this. And on that note, I wanted to say good night, and we see you on the Discord. Bye, guys.
Later, y'all. Shout out BZ and Chino.